Hello, wonderful people of the interwebs. I am EldestSon, and thank you for joining me today for another Prison Architect tutorial. Today we're going to talk about staff, and we'll go into a little bit of detail on what each staff member does, as well as how they are applied in the prison. But first off, we will lay a bit of a framework to work on. So the staff can be divided into the administrative staff, or admin staff, and the administrated staff, or admin staff. Under that admin category, we have the security, maintenance, utility, external, and emergency subgroups. And we'll talk about each of these in their due order. First off, we'll talk about the admin staff. This includes the warden, the chief, foreman, psychologist, accountant, and lawyer. So all of these are grouped together because they share a couple things. One is that they all require offices to work in, and two, they all research technologies. So in bureaucracy, these are all the things that they can unlock for you, and then they can further allow you to further improve your prison. Some of the administrative staff also do additional duties. The chief, for example, will allow you to see the danger level of your prison. The foreman will train your prisoners in the workshop so they can work in there and make you money. The psychologist is important for running programs, and you can have more than one of these psychologists. The other ones, you can only have one of each. So in the programs, they will run the alcoholics group therapy as well as the behavioral therapy. And you will also need the required rooms for that. The accountant is the last one that will do something other than just research for you. They allow you to look at the finance report tab here in the reports. Oh, where is it? Right there. So it allows you to look at all this and take out loans and things. And that's about all you need to know about the administrative staff. Pretty easy. Next up is the administered staff, which includes the categories of security, maintenance, utility, external, and emergency, which we will talk about in turn. Security can be then further divided into armed and unarmed. The unarmed staff includes the guard and the dog handler. So the guard is kind of the workhorse of your prison. It's one of the most important types of staff that you can hire. They are responsible for the general security of your prison. They spread out throughout the prison and make sure everything's secure, essentially. They're also responsible for unlocking prison doors, as well as manning the CCTV, phone tap, and remote door terminals, which is what these guys are doing down here in the security room. You'll also want to deploy your guards in an effective manner. So you want to have lots of guards where there's lots of prisoners, and less guards where there's less prisoners. If you go into deployment, you'll see that right now I've got a lot of guards stationed in the yards because it's yard time. There's lots of prisoners there. There is a higher chance of that they will get rowdy and start fights. The second type of unarmed guard is the dog handler. So these staff are a little bit more specialized. You don't need quite as many of them. As a result, they are responsible for looking for contraband and keeping it out of your prison. Next up is the armed guards. So the armed guards include the armed guard, of course, and the sniper. They are responsible for suppressing your prisoners, which has two effects. One, it keeps your prisoners from wanting to become violent and just behaving in a bad manner. And that suppression also increases their grading. So if we click on one of these guys, we'll look at Paul Hale. Go to his grading, and we'll see that under the punishment, if we scroll over that, part of that score is coming from his suppression. So he's been suppressed for 50% of his stay. That is giving him 10 points of punishment. Next, we'll talk about the maintenance staff, which includes the workman, the gardener, and the janitor. So the workman is another one of those workhorse types of staff. They're pretty essential. They are responsible for building your prison and moving things around and chopping down trees. So When I say move things around, I mean moving things to the shop, to the library, and out of those places, as well as taking out the garbage, moving things to storage, deliveries, exports, all of that good stuff. The number of workmen you will need will vary on which stage your prison is in. At the beginning, you'll probably want a few extra workmen because you're going to be building lots of things as well as doing the day-to-day moving of goods around. But later on, like where this prison is, you'll want a few less because you won't be doing as much building. They'll just be running your forestry industry and moving things to the appropriate locations. The next maintenance staff we will talk about is the janitor. So they do what you'd expect them to do. They go around your prison and clean things. The number that you need varies again. Just kind of tinker with it. It'll depend on how many prisoners you have, how much staff, and the number of workers you have cleaning your prison for you. The same kind of goes for the gardener. Does almost the same sort of thing as the janitor, just on the green spaces instead, and they also are responsible for planting trees in the forestry. Next is the external staff. So external staff are staff that you hire to come into your prison and run programs. So these staff members will run all the programs in your prison except for the alcoholic group therapy, behavior therapy, and the workshop training, which we talked about earlier. So right now we got a spiritual leader. He is one of those external staff that has come in to run the program that's happening in the chapel right now. The final type of staff that we will talk about today is emergency personnel. These are the staff that you call during a riot or a fire or something like that. They are located on this tab here. Click on that. You've got the fire engine, the riot police, the paramedics. They all do what you'd expect them to do. We'll call the fire engine just because. So they come in whenever you want them to. And if there's a fire, obviously you would call the fire engine and you can kind of tell them where to go. You walk over them and right click to tell them where the fire is. Same thing for the riot police and the paramedics. Usually the riot police and the paramedics kind of come together. Whenever you have a riot, you call the police, they come in, do their thing, and the paramedics will clean up after them if you don't have enough doctors on hand to deal with everything. And that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you found this useful or interesting, give me a like. Consider subscribing to get notifications on videos. I also have been streaming lately, so look out for me then. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.